Good morning. Welcome to the Forex Pro Charts weekly trade results for the week that began on April the 3rd and ends on April the 9th, 2011. We had 4 charts that we're going to take a look at this week. First, let's take a look at the EJ, and this was at the beginning of, more towards the beginning of the week. When we posted our alert, we posted that we would not take this trade, and we did not take this trade because the 3-to-1 ratio for the zone had not been met. And if you've been following us for long, you know that we talk about that 3-to-1 zone ratio being the most important odds enhancer that we have. And when we do see price go through the zones without taking at least a 20 pip bounce, and we go back and look, then usually it's a ratio problem. And so we did not recommend taking this trade. And as you see, price went up, came to the 60-minute armpit, moved straight up. It did bounce a little bit around the 5-minute armpit. So if you traded the 5-minute armpit and wanted to take this, then you would have been successful. Again, we recommended not trading this at all. And then sure enough, price came up, it spiked through the zone, then it came down and did achieve 20 pips here, but not until it had spiked through the zone, and you would have been stopped out with a loss, depending on exactly where you place your stops. But this would have been too far, and you would have been stopped out. And then sure enough, price came back up through the zone again, and looks like it's going to be continuing up. So this zone will be crosshatched and dead on the charts that we released this weekend. We hope that you followed our recommendation and did not take this trade, because if you did, you probably had a loss. The next trade was on the GBP USD, and we saw here that price came up and hit the 60-minute armpit. We cautioned that this was the 3rd revisit to the zone, and that the weekly trend wall was above the zone. You don't see it in this shot, but that there was a weekly trend wall above the zone, and you had a pretty decent risk at 60 pips. And the last time, but more importantly, again, the last time that price had left the zone on the 2nd revisit, we had not reestablished a 3-to-1 ratio. So we recommended caution on this trade, and that only our more aggressive traders take the trade. If you took it, then you would have been successful, because we did see a bounce of 51 pips from here to here. Then price came back up, just barely hit the 60-minute again, and came down for 74 pips, and looks like now it's moving back up. So on this trade, you would have been successful, and that actually turned into a fairly nice trade. But again, because this was the 2nd revisit to the zone, and because you had a pretty substantial risk, and that the last time price came out prior to this of the zone, we didn't have the 3-to-1 ratio, we felt that this trade was riskier. So if you took it, then you should have been able to capture at least the 20 pips. As you know, those of you who are more aggressive traders and like to trade everything that comes around, when you see a zone with red flags, you want to be very, very aggressive about protecting your profits. And so in that case, you would have moved your stop to break even, most likely, and most likely have been stopped out here. If you did leave a little bit of a cushion, then you may have captured, almost all of these pips, depending on where you placed your stop and how you handled that. So so this trade turned into a very nice one, but many of our traders will not have taken it because of the red flags, and that's fine. We did not take this trade, and remember that your first goal is to reduce your losses, and that the fewer losses you take, the fewer pips you have to earn in order to be successful. So we would rather take those trades that have very, very little risk and a very high probability of success. Let's take a look at 2 other currencies. Okay, this is the GBP JPY, the pound yen. And we see here that price came up to this 60-minute armpit at 137.02. This trade was fine except for the risk. You had almost 100 pip risk, and the GJ is a very volatile pair, and can spike through the zone, so with a risk that large, we typically don't like to take it. Traders who did take it and were comfortable with that risk did see a bounce of 31 pips, so you would have gotten your 20 pips out of it, but then price went ahead and followed the EJ, just went right on up through this zone after just kind of pausing a little bit right here, giving you your 20 pip bounce. And so if you were, again with the GJ, we are always very careful to protect our profits because price can move very quickly on this pair. And so in that case, if you had captured your 20 pips profit, moved your stop to break even, you would have been out, no harm, no foul. You do see that when price hit the 5-minute armpit here, it just went ahead and moved right on through. So that was a GJ. That was a successful trade, but a little bit scarier one. Some of you will not have taken it. Some of you will if you did. Hopefully you protected your profits and captured your pips right away. So let's take a look at one final pair. Okay, so this is the New Zealand USD, and this zone had 2 armpits marked in it. This armpit had already been hit a couple of times, and the risk is so large on it, we did not trade it and didn't recommend trading it. And you would have been successful if you had, would have bounced for about 30 pips after moving up even past this 5-minute armpit, and was right around here at this weekly armpit. But we preferred waiting for this upper armpit up here, which had a much smaller risk, and you can see that price did move nicely to it and then bounce back down, and that gave us about 42 pips on this, and then price moved back up, hit it again, and came back down. We'll have to just wait and see what direction price takes this week. So that was the New Zealand USD. If you waited for this armpit here, you would have had a profit of about 40 pips, and would have had a nice little trade on that as well. Okay, so that was the results for the week of April the 3rd. Couple of decent little trades this week. Should have been able to capture probably, at least 20 pips, depending on how many of these pairs you actually took the trade. We actually only traded one, and did get close to the 40 pips on that New Zealand. But we did not elect to trade the other pair for the reasons that we have discussed. So if you did, hopefully you were able to make profits totally. Hopefully you heeded our advice and did not trade the EJ, because that would have been the only losing trade this week. For more information or to subscribe to our full analysis and charting services, please go to www.forexprocharts.com. On our site, you can get a 1-week demo period. You can take a look at all of our educational materials and our full analysis, and make a decision whether or not you wish to subscribe. We hope to see you back here next week, and we'll be releasing the analysis later on today.